So it's my great delight to welcome Steph Cook. And you're a TA psychotherapist. Am I right in assuming that?
Yes, you are, completely.
Completely. And you're going to talk about a really interesting idea, not just in TA, but I think in psychotherapy in general, the Karpmen drama triangle.
Yeah. Steve Karpmen devised the Karpmen triangle, and it's a really good way of being able to explain how people get into dramas, and they keep going around the same triangle each time they get into it. And so the way it's described is there's 3 points on the triangle, obviously, because it's a triangle. So at the bottom you've got the victim, and then you've got the persecutor and the rescuer on the other 2 points of the triangle. So the premise is, or the way it works is, we keep visiting each corner, but we tend to have a favourite one.
Right, okay.
And when you're in that corner, what you're discounting of yourself is that you can't get out of it, and you're discounting the other person that you're having this conflict with. You're discounting them at the same time. So in the persecutor corner, you might be aggressive or angry or judgmental. And in the rescuer corner, you might be over-helpful or self-sacrificing, or you just need to be needed. Yeah, you can't do it without me is a favourite saying of someone who's a rescuer. And the victim is usually the person who feels downtrodden, helpless, or complains of their needs not getting unmet. And the thing about the triangle is you can get stuck on it. So somebody in the rescuer position can help a victim stay stuck in it, the same as a persecutor can help the victim stay stuck in that position. So
would it be fair to say that if someone takes one of the chairs, if you think of them as 3 chairs in the room, persecutor and rescuer, and someone decides to sit in a chair and enact those behaviours, would it be not too far out of things for them to invite other people to sit in the other chairs?
Yeah, you can. If someone gets hooked, you set up that fishing rod, send it out, reel somebody in, you can hook them. But each one of the drama triangle roles entails a discount.
Right.
So both persecutor and rescuer discount others.
Yes.
Yeah. And the persecutor discounts the other's value and dignity. Extreme persecutors may discount other people's right to life and physical health, for example. And the rescuer discounts others' ability to think for themselves and act on their own initiative. So they won't say, what do you need me to do? Or can I help you? They'll just bundle in there and just take over. And probably say something like, oh, you can't possibly do this. Not without me anyway, because you're hopeless at doing it. Yeah?
Yeah, so they'll depower people. They'll discount them, they'll depower them.
Disempower people, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the victim, of course, completely discounts themselves.
So we can. Some people find themselves sitting in one of these chairs.
Yeah.
So how would that kind of display in the therapy room? So how would a therapist, knowing this theory, then apply it therapeutically to a client?
Well, what might happen is somebody might come and say, I really am stuck. I just seem to be getting into constant arguments after arguments with my husband, or my partner, or my wife, or my brother, or my mother, whoever. And I just keep going around the same flipping circle. So I might ask them for something, and they might turn around and say, you're always asking for things. So then I get hooked and say, what are you talking about? I hardly ever ask for anything, and so on and so forth. So they kind of perpetuate it. Yeah. So for example, what a persecutor might say is, this is your fault. You caused all of this. In the response to that, the victim might say, oh, I'm really sorry. Well, it wasn't my fault. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Or
well acted out the kind of intonation that might happen, the persecutor voice and the
yeah.
victim voice. Yes.
Yeah. So to stop the drama, a good way of stopping the drama is to change how you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Change how you respond. Instead of thinking that you are a victim, you have to come from a survivor thriver position. Now, obviously, it takes therapy to work that out.
Yes.
Not just as simple as that. And to be a rescuer, you have to be, instead of being a rescuer or a savior, it's more like you're a coach or an enabler.
Yes.
And to stop the persecutor or the bully is more about challenging positively. So seeing the other person as okay rather than as hopeless.
Yes.
So to unpick that, you have to look at your own personal early life decisions about how come you decide that you're a victim. So if you get brought up in a family who don't enable you or don't empower you, you could possibly end up in a victim position more often than not.
Yes.
Yeah. If you grow up in a family where it's your role to make sure everybody's okay, yeah, you might end up being a rescuer. And a persecutor might grow up in a family where he or she thinks the only way to be around here is to be pushy, to be a bully, and to discount other people's feelings. Mm. So the therapy is about bringing that into people's awareness and helping them unpick how come they're in that position and to take a different position instead.
Is it possible that somebody in any of those seats could be looking for the therapist to take a different seat? So, say for instance, you've got a persecutor. Is it possible that the persecutor could try to bully the therapist, for want of a better?
Yeah, you could go. I mean, you've probably done this workshop with Bob. You could go into counter-transference with your client because they might hook your own position.
Yes.
So, you know, they could very well make you feel disabled or feel bad about yourself from a comment that they've made because you projected onto them something from your history. So yeah, that could happen. So you have to kind of have to think about, you know, sometimes somebody might say something and take your time to answer back because you might think, I wonder why I'm responding in that way. Is this a here and now thing, or is this a then and there thing that belongs to me?
That's a really interesting point, isn't it? Because we're not immune. No therapist, I believe, is immune from counter-transference.
Yeah, that's right.
And it could be very easy to replicate that kind of interaction of persecutor or rescuer or victim in the therapy room. If you're careful,
it's all about the discount. If you think about it. And so you're discounting yourself if you go into that transferential position and become the victim or the persecutor or even the rescuer. And I think a lot of people who first get into counselling or psychotherapy may recognise that position of being the rescuer because we just want to make everything all right for everybody.
Yes. Yes, well, I saw, as someone like yourself who trained a therapist for a number of years, it's one of the things that you pick up on in feedback.
And it's, you know, when first supervising trainee psychotherapists, it's one of the things that they get light bulb moments over when they come and they bring stuff for supervision and they suddenly realise that actually they're not helping the client because they're jumping in and finding solutions for them without helping them to find their own solutions. And that's a rescue.
Yes. Yeah, and that is something that we'd hope that there weren't any persecutors in therapy, but I suspect it does happen because you know we're human beings, and of course we have all that available to us. But rescuing is the one thing I think. I don't know if you'd agree with me that trainers kind of look out for when you train.
Yeah, because you know it makes you feel good to know that you've helped somebody, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean, let's be realistic. I get a real buzz in knowing that I've helped someone to change something for themselves.
Yes.
But the thing is, if you jump in there and do it for them, they stay stuck in that victim position.
Yes.
So it's one of the things that we look out for in our early, our trainees' early work, that they actually don't have to do very much. It's the client that does the work. But it's sometimes they can feel compelled because they get hooked in.
Yes.
And the client will maybe do the game of do me something. I'm sure you've talked about games with Bob, and there is a do me something game.
Yes. Yeah.
And that will tell you something. If you feel like, oh God, I really must do something, or you're feeling bad because you're not doing enough, it's because you got hooked into a game.
Yeah.
And the client's discounting themselves, going into victim position and wanting you to work it out for them.
I think it's just so interesting. And I know, Steph, outside of psychotherapy, which is longer, it's a longer duration.
Yeah.
This sort of stuff is hardly ever talked about in counselling courses. Yeah, it is absolutely so pertinent. I used to talk about it all the time when I trained. And I used to train people. And but it's not something that comes up, but it's just the craft of the work, isn't it, to be aware of that?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because it's our bread and butter, isn't it, to go into a room, sit down with somebody and listen to them and help them find out what's going on for themselves, but also help them help themselves. Yeah, that's what we do.
Yes.
But I think that people have all kinds of reasons for why they want to become therapists or counsellors. And I know for a fact that before I became a counsellor, I was a social worker, and I wanted to save the world.
Yes.
I did a lot of rescuing along the way.
Yes.
But obviously, that's only a short-term solution, and it doesn't help people. It disables them.
Of course, yeah. It's the old kind of thing about if you fish for someone, they eat for one day. If you teach them to fish, they'll eat all the time.
Yeah, that's a good saying. I like that.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Well, it's not mine, but you're welcome. So Karpmen drama triangle. I think it's one of those pieces of theory that it just plays out so often in doesn't matter if it's therapy, any human interaction. Not in the therapy, but I see it played out in social situations or business situations. And it's really good. And I think the key thing here is, Steph, is for therapists to have good supervision and therapy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is the key. That you sort your stuff out, because it doesn't belong in the therapy environment. Although it can be useful sometimes.
Yes.
It reminds you of something that you've experienced, which can be helpful in the therapy room, because then you'll know the clients, you've got one foot in their reality then.
Yes.
But as long as you're mindful that actually it's their reality and not yours, it's their then and their stuff, not yours. That's important.
Well, I think on those wise words, Steph, that will definitely give us food for thought. So the Karpmen drama triangle. Steph Cook, thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you. Been a pleasure. See you again soon. Bye.
Bye.